G'day, I'm Rachel from Pinup and Nostalgia Image Creations. Welcome to Quick Tricks, where we talk about vintage style hair and makeup with a modern twist. This week is all about Betty Bangs, so let's get stuck in. For the first two styles, I'm going to show you how you can incorporate your Betty Bangs into baby victory rolls, one with a side part and one with a middle part. I'm going to start by finding my side part. So I'm just going to sweep my bangs over to the side that I prefer, sectioning our hair from the behind our ears to the top of our head and just meeting up with the part that we created earlier. So I'm going to pull my hair upwards and outwards, try and incorporate a bit of that fringe, make sure it's at least brushing in the right direction. Okay, and just using two fingers behind the hair, wrap the ends around, pinch, and then go ahead and tuck and roll until we get to our head. When you're happy with the size and position of your roll, go ahead and pin it down. Alright, so now we're just going to smooth that fringe over a bit. And we're going to pin in some of the longer bits. And as you pin, remember to tuck and hide your pins away. So we'll just pinch onto one of the bits of hair, push in under the hair, and just pushing and smoothing those ends into the hair. With these bigger bits of hair that are falling down, go ahead and use your pin to grab onto the end of them and then push that gently underneath your roll. Okay, and once you've incorporated as much of that fringe as you can go ahead and use some pomade to smooth it over and then finish off with a hairspray. We won't do that just now because of course we've got a few other styles to do. Go ahead and do the other side, sectioning from behind the ear right up into that part there. And there's the first style with a side part and baby victory rolls. The second version is exactly the same thing, but with a middle part. It is a little trickier because you've got to work your fringe into two different rolls instead of just the one off to the side. So let's get started. So just brushing our hair back, feeling a bit of an 80s vibe. And of course, parting our hair right down the center. Sectioning off from behind the ear to the top of the head. Because of the Betty Bangs, the bulk of the roll is smaller, of course, so I go ahead and section a little further back than I might otherwise. So that's right at the back, at the crown of my head there. Okay, and brushing their hair upwards and outwards to start our roll, incorporating as much of the fringe as we can. Starting off with two fingers behind the roll, wrapping the end around and pinching and tucking. And again, we're going to push this roll as far forward as we can, smoothing as we go. And we're going to use a chiffon hair scarf for our next style. So I'm going to go ahead and fold my scarf in half diagonally and then continue folding until you've got a bit of a roll. Doesn't have to be too neat. Tuck in behind underneath the hair and tie right at the hairline. You can do it off to the side or in the center. Okay, reasonably tight but not too tight because we are going to push it back just a little bit. Okay, and just giving our hair one last smooth before we push the scarf back. Right over the fringe. And then what I'm going to do is create a miniature pomp by pushing the whole thing forward again, hair and scarf. Then we're just going to go ahead and widen that scarf just a little bit, pull it out on both sides, and then tucking in the shortest ends behind the scarf. And tucking in the ends of the bow. A really simple, easy way of hairing that fringe if you don't have time or don't want to style it. So this next one is for those days where your bangs just aren't behaving and sitting where they should. We're going to use some heat styling with a straightener. Mine's a GHD. I'm just going to start by sectioning my bangs, pushing the rest of my hair out of the way. So we're going to start by sectioning off the bulk of the fringe, just so we have the bottom layer of hair. It's about that thick, if you can see there. And pinning back with a styling clip. Going to go ahead and brush that into position as best we can. Now what I'm going to do with my straightener is start at the base, of course, pulling it up and out, and then twisting slightly to finish off the ends. So we're just going to continue pulling up and out and twisting at the end. Now if your hair isn't sliding through your straightener as nicely as it could, instead of going ahead and struggling and continuing to try and pull it out, I would definitely encourage you to release your grip and then start again a little further back and continue on. Even if you have to keep doing that, it will go ahead and give you a smooth finish at least, instead of leaving angled sections through your hair. So if you get stuck here, let go, start a little further back and go ahead and continue smoothing that over. Same happened again. So release, back a little bit, go ahead again, finishing off at the end there. So I know it might look a little bit sticky outy and funny now, but as it cools and as you let the next sections of your hair go down, it weighs it down a little bit and it does finish with a good bit of volume. Okay, so the next section, I'm going to go ahead and leave almost all of that out, just leaving the top part. The reason I do this little bit separately is so that I have a perfectly smooth base, so I don't have to be so precise when I'm straightening the bulk part of the fringe. Okay, so just clip that one back, pick that up. Now depending on how thick or wide your fringe is, what style or what type of hair you have, of course. If it's curlier, you might need to go ahead and do this in a couple of sections, but I just go ahead and grab it all at once and pull it through. Again, if it gets stuck, letting go, starting a little bit further back and going on again, and at the end twisting our straightener. All right, and we'll go ahead with our last section of fringe. I'm going to go ahead and brush that straight up into the air, and using our straightener, getting as close to the base as we can. Don't burn your scalp, of course. Starting at the base and then pulling outwards and towards the front. Again, stopping and releasing if you feel a tug on your hair, if it gets stuck, and twisting at the end. Okay, so I'll go ahead and brush that through, make sure it's all sitting nicely, and touch up any areas that we need to. Okay, I don't know if you can see, but there is a slight wave still here, and I'd like it to be perfectly straight, so I'm going to grab that same section of hair that we had last time and give that another go over. Now, a good tip when straightening your fringe is to set it in place as soon as possible after the straightener leaves your hair. That way it's cooling down in the correct position and will stay for a longer period of time. Anybody with a straight line fringe will tell you that it's never the same any given day. So sometimes I'll go ahead and trim little pieces if I've noticed those same pieces not staying in place on several different days. But of course, usually we just go in at the very end again with our straightener and bring those end bits together. Okay, and just going ahead and twisting at the end. Okay, and just pushing those little bits back up into the bulk of the fringe. Because I've had a fringe for so long now, it does tend to sit quite nicely in the same spot all day. However, a good trick is to keep with you a little comb. So I just keep it in my handbag here down the side, so I can whip that out at any time. You can get even littler ones that'll fit in your wallet. And I go ahead and give it a quick comb through, and we're done. You don't even need a mirror to do that. It's really easy. And slide that right back. And of course you can use pomade and hairspray to set it down further. And the last look I'm going to show you is for you ladies who love to cruise. So I'm just grabbing my hair scarf again, folding it in half diagonally, and I'm going to whip that over, cover just the part of our fringe there, tie it underneath the chin. And this is a really cute way of avoiding those tangling knots when you have the wind blowing through your hair. And the last little tip I have for you is when you are starting out with Betty Bangs, after you wash your hair, make sure you set it with your comb. So comb it forward into the place where you want it to start growing towards, and go ahead and either blow dry it or let it dry naturally. In the first few months of having my Betty Bangs, I used a hairdryer on the hot setting after washing my hair to go ahead and set the fringe forward, but now it dries quite nicely after towel drying and combing it. Well, that's all for today. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to let me know in the comments section what you'd like to see next. See you next time.